Jane Williams, you're awesome. And so that, we got two speakers up today, and also too, we want to bring on first what is a topic of discussion that everybody is maybe wondering what's going on or how things are progressing. As I want to bring up Mr. Gordon Burkett, and who's over the sanitation, and he's the manager of that program. So without further ado, Mr. Burkett, go ahead and give your spiel, and we'll allow for a few questions after that, and then we're going to let him go and get to the next speaker.
All right. First, everybody can hear me? I'm assuming. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Reeves, for giving me the opportunity to speak with your group this evening. I'm Gordon Burkett. I'm a sanitation coordinator for the city of South Fulton. And 2023 is going to be a great year for us. We're putting some things in place that will make our city much more clean and attractive for everyone. And a key piece of that is the residential solid waste collection program. Some of you have heard some things about it, and some of it's good stuff, some of it's not, some of it's true, some of it's not true. So we're spending a lot of time making sure that people are getting good information and know where to go to get that information as well. So our program is tentatively going to start in June of 2023. We are in the process of going into an agreement with Waste Pro as our chosen provider. And this will mean that we'll have uniformity in the community in terms of the containers that we see, and those things like, I'm not sure when my neighbor's can is supposed to be out, but it's always out. We'll be able to alleviate those things because everybody in the neighborhood will be served on the same day. This also will provide for the other services that we're going to do, which is more consistent servicing of trash receptacles in the neighborhoods, as well as our soon-to-come program related to street sweeping as well. So I'm very excited about it. There are a few bumps in the road that we're going to come against here. We are proactively working to make sure that we're addressing any questions related to that. And that includes, we've just recently launched, as of today, a webpage on the city website. So if you go to citysouthfultonga.gov, and you'll see in one of the banners, it'll say sanitation. That location will have a lot of good information, frequently asked questions, and other things, other options that we have, including Merck Miles, Citizens Convenience Center, and other things. So we will continue to make sure we get information out, that we provide quality service, and continue to clean up the city of South Fulton. So that's my spiel, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to be available for other meetings and things like that. So feel free to give us a call or contact us. You can do that through our
Absolutely,
website.
absolutely. So I'm driving, so Jane, if you don't mind, hands up if anybody got any questions.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Nancy Martin, Flash Hills Manor. I received.
Martin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? So I received a call from one of my residents in reference to GFL. They were stating that they picked up their receptacle today. So what in the meantime, and they're saying that the company is no longer going to pick up after the end of this month or next month. So what do we do in the meantime?
Okay, so there sounds like a couple things that are going on there. Number one, you said that someone in your community's can was picked up today, and it was a GFL container. I would ask if you could have them give me a call or contact us. That would be awesome.
Okay, what's your number?
My number is 404-345-1515. Once again, 404-345-1515. So we did receive confirmation from GFL, and I do speak to them on a daily basis that that they are purging some of their customer base, It sounds like maybe your neighbor was one of those people. I'm happy to find out what the details of that are. You know, I want to make sure I'm clear. They have expressed that they are not performing a mass exodus of customers. They're not getting rid of a large number of people, but there are some customers that they're letting go for various reasons. And I'd like to find out a little bit more about their situation before I would want to comment on that specific situation. But we operate what's called an open market system right now, which means that anybody who's basically agreed to provide service with the city can do so within the city limits. And GFL has assured us that they have no intention of leaving the city of South Fulton until we become until we go to one vendor to provide service in the city. And again, that's supposed to be in June of 2023.
Okay, because he said he spoke to someone and they said they was gonna cancel the contract with City of South Fulton the end of this year. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me be very clear. The system that we operate currently, there are 9 vendors within the City of South Fulton. We do not have a contract with any of those vendors to provide residential collections. Okay. Everybody, again, in the city, it has been a free market where once they're able to provide service in the city, you can contract with any one of those vendors that services your district, period. And the city does not have anything to do with that relationship. So whatever that relationship is between that household and that vendor that they've decided to go under contract with. The only thing that we observe and are responsible for is making sure that that they're providing a consistent service. And if there's some trouble, which it sounds like we've got here, we serve to help people address those concerns or issues that they're having with the vendor so that they can have quality service going forward. So that's the only thing that we provide as a part of that. We do not have any contracts with any one of these vendors.
This is Chandra. I have a question to ask you as well.
Uh-huh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, sir, and thank you for being on the call. So the service, one vendor service, is to start June of 2023, you stated?
That's correct.
Has there been drill down on the cost per household for the sanitation services, and what all does that cost include? Okay,
so that's a very good question. So the short answer is absolutely yes. So we went through a procurement process and we advertised this and that RFP can be found on the internet. It's a very open process. We basically established some expectations that we were looking for from a vendor. And then based on that information, we received proposals and we evaluated those 3 proposals and came up with a recommended vendor. And that process that we used includes, how they would provide service, what type of service, and then also the pricing. That is something that we're very sensitive of. That price for solid waste services that we're looking at right now is about $19. It's actually a little less than $19 per month per household.
Okay, so does that include, and thank you for answering that question, does that include we as residents here being able to place, let's say, sofas, furniture, and refrigerators and such on the side, and that will be picked up as well? Or will we have to make arrangements for that sort of throwaway trash to be taken to the landfill?
Okay. All right, very good questions. So that includes weekly garbage collection service. That includes the container that you get. And then that includes one bulky collection day per month, which works out to be about 3 yards of material. In layman's terms, that's basically 2 pieces of furniture that you can set out on the appointed day for your neighborhood, and it will be picked up at no additional charge. Of course, if you have, if you're doing a major upgrade at your home, for instance, and you have more than that amount of furniture, you will have the ability to contract directly with the vendor. That will allow you to take advantage of what's included in the base rate, but also address any additional materials that you may have. We stayed very defined in the type of materials that we wanted to collect because everybody's living situation is a little different. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to get the things that everybody had in common, which everybody has some weekly garbage that they're generating. And everybody has a need from time to time to get rid of furniture or a mattress or things like that. But also there'll be optional services available, which include an additional receptacle and also the ability for yard trimmings to be collected as well. Initially, we were looking at including that in the base service, but realizing that we have a lot of condo owners and things that will be subjected to this, that would be a service that they probably wouldn't use. Or if you own in the more rural parts of the city, if you're on several acres, getting 5 or 7 bags of leaves taken away per week is not going to be something that you would really consider. So we made those for the folks that are interested in those type of services optional, and with the base services to make sure that we would be able to give you the best price possible.
Okay, I think,
Question.
All right.
oh, thank
Wanda?
you. Okay. I'm sorry, Councilman Reed, we have Wanda with Red Oak. Her hand is raised.
Hi, this is Wanda Lewis. I live in Red Oak Woods subdivision. Hi, I have a concern. I know you just stated that you guys didn't have a contract with GFL to, but you guys have some type of arrangement, correct? In which you guys, because we had fees being taken, being billed to us that was passed on to the city because they were one of the approved vendors to provide service. So you guys have some type of arrangement with them, correct?
So what you're referring to, Wanda, I believe is the 5% maintenance fee. And that is exclusively used to address wear and tear on neighborhood streets. So one of the big programs that we've had here recently, because we've heard from citizens like yourself that the roads inside their subdivision were damaged or needed to be resurfaced. That's where that money goes to.
Right. I'm not questioning where the money goes, but my comment is that money is passed on to the city, and it was only when they became an approved vendor to provide services within the city that we started being billed that, and their explanation that it was being paid to the city. So now that we're getting this information saying that they're no longer going to, as of December 31st, they don't have a contract, so to speak.
I want to make sure we don't have
Okay.
any contracts, no contracts.
Right. Okay. So let me finish, please. They no longer have a contract. That's the wording that is being used, or will not be providing services in the city of South Fulton. Isn't that like a direct result of you guys going to your own pickup in city of South Fulton? And how does that leave the homeowners caught in the middle of where we do have or expect them to continue until we have something different that we now have to, if they do discontinue, we have to scramble and try to find someone to pick up services? Is that really doing good business with your with the people of South Fulton that have
Okay.
been having reliable trash pickup.
Okay, well, I would say this. Number one, we do not have a contract with GFL or Waste Pro. We don't even have a contract with Waste Pro at this point. We're in the process of getting a contract with them, but we do not have any contracts with them to provide residential collection services for the general population in the city. Again, we operate what's called an open market service, and they have the freedom of getting into or getting out of the system. We are still an open market system until that changes. They have the ability to service the citizens as they so desire. Having spoken to a number of officials at GFL, I've been assured that the average customer will not this will not impact them, that they plan to continue to service until the market is not an open market anymore. They are purging some customers that, in many cases, they've had some negative history with. And that's as much as I can tell you at this point. But again, those contracts exist between the individual household and the vendor. In some cases, a subdivision may enter into that agreement. There are a few of those in the city where a vendor comes in and services the entire neighborhood, or subdivision, I should say. But other than that, those are the only contracts that I'm aware of at this point.
So can you speak as to where the misinformation is coming from as far as them stopping services or discontinuing services as of the 31st of December? And have you guys spoke with them that? Because I heard it prior to actually seeing it on Facebook. I know someone that's employed there, and they were in a meeting and was advised that that at the 31st of December, they were no longer servicing the city of South Fulton. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on and where am I going to be left in the middle in the meantime until you guys decide or get a contract with Waste Pro or whoever you're going to be using. Is it going to be my responsibility to scramble around if they do discontinue and try to find a carrier to pick up my services?
Okay, so I will say that the only customers that I know that they've had some issues with payment. We don't get into that piece of it. I just know that they are letting go of some of their customers. I speak to GFL on a daily basis. I've spoken to representatives from GFL probably 2 to 3 times today, and our conversations are the same. I have asked the very questions that you're asking me. And again, from the very top on down, I've been assured that they aren't just wholesale getting out of the city, but they are purging some customers. We are in the process of setting up a temporary transitional type service for customers that have been disenfranchised as part of this process, and we'll be releasing that very soon. It will be on our website, and we're also creating a distribution list to keep people apprised of what activities are going on. And there's a brief survey on our website as well that I would encourage you to take. And once we get your information, we'll make sure that you are receiving those updates as they become available.
Okay, and one last question. I heard one of the issues, just in researching Waste Pro myself, one of the issues was the ability to communicate with them, that it's only through emails. Is that true, or are we gonna have a way to contact them, or will we contact you guys and then you actually act on our behalf if we have issues?
Okay, I will say that I've not heard of anyone having a challenge with communicating with Waste Pro. As part of our RFP, we require them to have live operators that are local for a period of time. So the initial period will be from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, just in case people, service was missed and they get home and find that out. And also the city will later be establishing a call center as well that will be 24 hours a day, which is my understanding. They'll have operators and they will have access to the same system. So they will be able to enter requests, concerns, issues, however you want to equate them to, directly into the Waste Pro system. But in addition, you will have the opportunity to do the same. So they will, on each roll cart, there will be a what's called a URL code, like on my card here, the little box, what it's called here. I don't know where my screen is here. I'm sorry if you can see that or not. But that URL code will be on the top of each roll cart, the one that you receive at your house. You'll be able to take a picture of it and it will take you to their website where you can register an issue or make a request for additional services, etc. So we're attempting to make sure that there are multiple approaches to maintaining quality communications. And communications is a two-way thing. So we hear from you, you hear back from us, and we address issues as they come aggressively.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Burkett, I want to thank you so much for taking out the time of the day. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't ask a question. Just put it in the chat and we will send those forward so we can get a authoritative response back to those questions, so you can be heard. But I called him about something else and he was able to come on at the last minute. I told him he'll be out of here because we do have to make room for our other special guests here. But I did want him to come on to get the record straight from what the perspective is from the staff standpoint as to what the hearsay is out in the atmosphere, because we wanted you to get, if anybody has been misinformed, we wanted people to come here and get educated about what the truth is. So that's why he was able to come on and give us a briefing, but there's more information to come. And so this is not the only conversation we had, but he wanted to come here and give it to you guys first. So Ms. Burkett.
Can you put his information in the chat, please, Councilman?
Yeah. I was going to ask him that, Madam.
Okay.
Mr. Burkett, would you be so kind, sir, to put your contact information, phone number, and email address in the chat so that the constituents may have the number to call?
Absolutely.
If they have the questions. Now, y'all gonna give him so many calls about this, he gonna need an assistant. Okay, so when we put in for an assistant, don't come back blaming me now, because my job is fiduciary. Okay, so we don't want to add.
Well, hopefully we'll get most of their answers on the frequently asked questions, so they don't have to talk to me. But I'm always happy to talk to you, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on this and share this evening. And I appreciate your time, each one of you, and especially Councilman Reeves for inviting me. So thank you again, and I will put my information in there.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, to our second guest. And so this is to address questions that have been questions, statements, comments concerning Mansa Park, which is a development on Old National, that land that was conveyed over to the South Fulton Development Authority from the city of South Fulton, made a deal with the developer. And so, but the person who is over that park is my good dearest friend over here, Madam Natasha Williams, who is, that park actually sits in her district. And so she has the floor as she's going to do and explaining about what's going on and taking a Q&A. So Dr. Williams, you up?
I'm up. Okay.
Yes,
can we see you? Can we see you? You don't have to be made all up pretty. You already looks good.
Well, let me see, because I'm in my car. So, hey, Barbara, how you doing? First of all, thank you, Councilman Reeves, for inviting me onto the call, because I know that a lot is being put out into the atmosphere around this development on Old National Highway. And so I'm gonna just take it from the top. Y'all know me, I'm a straight shooter. The city of South Fulton deeded over 2 parcels of land, a portion of the park, not the whole entire park. So the park consists of land that fronts Old National, which is just, kind of the tree. And behind that, on Pleasant Hill, is what would be considered the park as we know it. So that's the field, the buildings, the bleachers, all of that. What the city of South Fulton deeded over to the South Fulton Development Authority, and what was subsequently sold, was that land on Old National. It was not the park, if that makes sense. And the South Fulton Development Authority subsequently sold those 2 parcels of land. If I was home, I would tell you what the parcel ID numbers are, because I have all that paperwork. But you can look it up in the Fulton County property records, the 2 parcel IDs. They subsequently sold those 2 parcels that front Old National to a developer. And as many of you will recall, in the beginning of May, the developer had a groundbreaking. They came, they had shovels, they had hard hats, they had dirt. They sent a mailer out all across the city where they were having this groundbreaking on this project that they're building. Unfortunately, in many legal and financial ways, the cart got put before the horse with this development. Because as we began to go back through the records to look for the paperwork for this development, what we found is that there isn't any. And without getting into a lot of legal, jargon, there's certain things that have to happen before you can start pouring concrete. You have to have a site plan, not pretty pictures on a poster board. You have to actually have plans, like we can roll them out on actual architectural paper where you have a site plan. None of that's been filed with the city. You have to have a land disturbance permit. You can't just go in and start moving dirt, right? There's been no application for a land disturbance permit. Because we sit in the shadow of the airport, buildings of a certain, once you get to a certain height, you have to have those plans, that site plan has to be approved by the FCC. We're in the flight pattern for the airport. So you can't just throw up a building anywhere around the airport without the FCC signing off on that and saying that it's approved to be in the flight pattern for the airport. That hasn't been done. And there's a lot of these things that have to be done in order for a project to actually start. So if you fast forward to the last council meeting, where the claims were made that the city is preventing the project from moving forward. That is factually incorrect. The city is in no way standing in the way of this project. Nobody has filed the appropriate paperwork for the project to happen. So there's nothing in zoning and planning. There's nothing in community development. There's nothing in economic development. The attorney doesn't have anything. The finance director hasn't reviewed anything. And all of these pieces have to be in place before you can actually turn over dirt and build. So that's the first thing. And, you know, I continue to ask, if somebody has got some paperwork and that paperwork has not been processed, then give me a copy so I can follow up. That has not happened. So it is factually incorrect to say that the city is standing in the way of this development. We cannot stand in the way of something that has not been applied for. So that's part one. Part two, when you get to this so-called gift of improvements to the actual park proper, as we understand the park, that would be the backside where we have the field and the buildings and all of that. In order for the city to accept any type of gift from anyone, that is also a process. And there's also paperwork that has to be done. So we don't know what this gift is because, again, there's no paperwork. We have nothing telling us on paper what this gift is. What does this gift look like? We have no site plan. Nothing's been submitted to zoning and planning, community development, legal, finance. Absolutely not so much as scribble scrabble on a napkin exists for this either. And so the claim that the city has not accepted this gift, whatever this gift is also factually incorrect. Because in order for the city to accept the gift, all of these things have to be documented and recorded, adopt a resolution accepting a gift, because that is the process. The government can't just take a gift from somebody that walks off the street. None of those things have happened. And so I know that after the council meeting, there was, you know, once again, people fanning out all over social media with this narrative that the city is refusing to accept the gift, the city is refusing to let the project go forward. And I just wanted to say very clearly, I've said it at my own town hall, but I wanted to also say it, you know, with District 5 residents. We cannot stand in the way of something we do not have. And unless and until somebody goes through the proper process for things to happen, there's nothing for the city to accept or reject because we have nothing written. And so I'm gonna stop there because I know that there's gonna be questions. I know there are a lot of questions because, you know, this narrative of somehow the city's preventing the project from happening continues to be perpetuated on social media. And social media is both good and bad. It's good because it is a good way to distribute information. It is bad because it is a good way to distribute misinformation. And it is unfortunate that people would prefer to believe what they read on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat, on TikTok, on Nextdoor, wherever, versus actually asking the questions that need to be asked. And so as the person who represents that part, I can tell you definitively, there is no paperwork of any sort for anything to happen with either of those two things in the city. So I will stop there and
To my
let
colleague,
y'all
Dr.
ask
Williams,
questions.
right, Dr. Williams, I want to let them ask questions, but can I piggyback off of this? Because you're right, and out of all due respect, that we can all respond, but I think that out of respect and for the person who represents that area, should have the opportunity to speak about it. And if anybody contacts us, we can redirect them to her administration, and I'm pretty sure that she will be more than amenable to giving 30 cc's of correction and truth to what's going on. But can I piggyback off one little thing? And I'm going to say this.
Before you do that, can I address this comment that's in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
From Kwame Wise. I spoke with the developer personally and was informed the city refused to speak with him or his attorneys. Can someone address that? That's how I'm addressing it. That's a lie.
Okay, well, there it is. And so, but I'm going to say this to everybody out there. The basic need before developing and putting anything, when there's trees and soil, when you take down the trees and dig up the soil, you must first put something there, infrastructure. What is going to be the capacity of the sewer and the storm runoff for this development? Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's Fulton County. I mean, just take for a scenario, you cannot have a 20-inch main going into a 10-inch main. And so that entire system, the entire infrastructure system would have to be upgraded. And that process starts with Fulton County. But I'm gonna let your questions roll. Go ahead. Jane, take, can you handle the questions for me?
Yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much.
You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. So I think we had Clyde Sampson. Mr. Sampson.
Yes. Hi. How's everybody doing tonight? I appreciate you having this meeting, Councilman. I just have a comment and just two questions regarding this development. First comment is I intend to be on the, I believe, the Zoom call with the developer next week to get his side of the story, because I just believe in being balanced, and now we're hearing your side, and I think it's important to hear the developer side so the citizens can, kind of reach a middle ground in this development, just to see, just to weed out, who's telling the truth and who's not. So I encourage everybody to have an open opinion on this situation. But the two questions I have to ask is, number one, when it comes to the ownership of those parcels of land, does the developer still have ownership of those parcels of land on Old National?
Well, that is an excellent question. What I can tell you is that the paperwork that I have, and when I can get in the house, and I think that Councilman Reeves has this same packet because we all got it. According to the paperwork filed with Fulton County, the South Fulton Development Authority sold the land to BBI Development. BBI Development then turned around and transferred the land to Manta Town Park Development. According to the Georgia Secretary of State, BBI Development and Manta Town Park Development are both owned by Jeffrey Butler Sr. And Leonard Garside is listed as the registered agent for both companies. So as of today, according to Fulton County records, Mansa Town Park Development LLC owns the 2 parcels of land that front Old National Highway. That is the only property that they own.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. And the next question I have is, to me, just my opinion, just the comments coming from both the council members that they're not too excited about this project. I know the citizens are. We've been waiting, for some kind of development across from World Changers for a while. I've only been in the area 20 years, so I can imagine the people who've been in longer. I think the revitalization of Old National is important to the city, but the question is to the 2 council members. You say they don't have the permits and this and that and the other to go forward with it. Are you working with the developers so that they can have those resources, as soon as possible, or are you just kind of standing back and saying, here's what you have to do? Because I know in some other developments across the city, you had a collaboration between the developer and the council member, but it doesn't seem like there's a collaboration. It seems like there's a clash. And I just wanted to know, are y'all trying to push this forward, or are you just sitting back and just watching it to see if it's going to happen?
Madam Williams, will you mind if I take this one first?
Hang on, Corey. Councilman Reeves, hang on a second. And so you have to, when it comes to this development, you have to keep in mind that the developer did not and do business directly with the city, right? So in those so to give you an example, if you attended the community development, the CDRA meeting that was held at the Southwest Art Center, Mr. Hall presented projects for each district that were happening, and one of them is a Chipotle that is coming here in District 6. In the case of that development, the developer is working directly with the city. And so, yes, we are involved as much as we can legally be with that development. In the case of the Mansa Town Park development, they negotiated with the South Fulton Development Authority. The city is not party to that development in any way. So if it seems like we're standing back, it's because the developer did not conduct the business with the city. They conducted the business of buying the land from the South Fulton Development Authority. Subsequently, that means that until the city receives the appropriate paperwork and they work with Mr. Hull and with Artie Jones on whatever it is they're trying to build, there's no discussions to be had, if that makes sense, because we didn't broker that deal. If we had brokered the deal the way we do all other development in the city, then yes, we would have been able to be part of the conversation from the beginning. But since we weren't, it puts us in the position of having to wait. I hope that made sense. Did that answer your question?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, but yeah, I'll yield to the other questions.
Well,
Thank
I want to answer your question, Mr. Sampson. Talking about, am I excited about the project? Well, let me just say this. When I came in, I think it was one of the first votes was to deed the property over to the South Fulton Development Authority. Now, although I disagree fundamentally how that was set up and how that is operating. I had a meeting, and I was advised not to support it from various people outside of the DS. And I was advised by some people outside of the DS to support it. And so, as to it, me being from the area, I'm excited about this. And so, you know, going back to, I was like, how feasible is this is it going to happen? Nobody knew 3 months later COVID would hit, now, mind you. But however, it's the feasibility of it happening. So I went and rolled the dice and I says, you know, just with a little bit of faith, and just says, oh, hey, listen, I'm have all the faith in the world because the people on this area, this side of town, looking for something of that nature, that scale of development to be established and erected here on Old National Highway, which would have led and paved the way for a lot of other development to come. Did I have doubts or concerns? Well, everybody has a doubt or concern of when you talk about that amount of money and that amount of on that particular project. But hey, look, if you can do it, go ahead and do it. And so I rode with the development. I voted for it. That was the vote to transfer the deed over the property. Now, and I said that I hope that you know, that it gets done, because I'm not going to sell the people a pipe dream. And you know, of here's the shiny object, and then it's really dust. So as things develop, I stay completely out of it. Everything materialized and developed how it developed to where we are today. But I'm going to say this, as this is a real example. The South Fulton Development Authority, they did another deal. And they did another deal with an office building. That office building had a groundbreaking. That office building is erected as a medical facility on Old National Highway. And they did that deal. So you ask yourself, if they did that deal, what stopped them from doing this one? And why is that not up when they broke ground? Just go back. It's a process to how this, as my council colleague laid it out, it's a process. And go step A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. I encourage everybody to find out for themselves where in the process it's a glitch. Because you had them doing one development, different scale now, but still development that's completed versus this other one. I encourage everybody to seek out for themselves. This is nothing that the council or the DS can tell you, but it's for you to get educated as well on this process. And that's all I'm hoping that people who have been misinformed, they'll get educated on that. And so, as my colleague laid it out. And so, but Mr. Sampson, to answer your question, I was excited about the project. I voted for it. So how do you think I feel now? And so with all of the things coming, it's not, I don't have a good feeling, because this park, because of all of the shenanigans and things that were said, was not included in our parks master plan because they said they gifted this and that and third. So to me, sir, that's the biggest disappointment of all. So I was excited, but I'm not now. No way. But I will remain mute because this is my colleague. She's the quarterback of this. And we'll just we'll go keep going on through the process until the outcome. But my outcome is for the people to win. That's absolutely for sure. Bottom line. Go ahead, Jane.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Reeves. Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. So now, Ms. Collins, do you have a question? I see your hand up, and then we'll go, okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Wait a minute. Okay. First of all, I want to thank Councilman Williams for all that factual information. Because without facts, things do get out of hand. And my other question is, now the other comment I'd like to make, why is it named Massa Park? So it's two parks. It's two pieces of land. One park, one section is called Massa Park, and the other park is called Old National Park. Is that it? Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, my other
That is,
question, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that Mansa Town Park is the name of the second business owned by Jeffrey Butler. And so he used one business, BBI Development, to buy the land from the South Fulton Development Authority. And then he turned around and transferred that land from BBI Development to his second business, Mansa Town Park. And as best I can tell, he is using the name of the business number 2 to brand the project.
Okay. And so the Old National Park sits behind that.
Old National Park sits behind it. That is where you enter on Pleasant Hill to get to the field, and you know, the buildings and the bleachers and everything, you know, that we use the park portion for.
And that will remain Old National Park.
That will remain Old National Park. That is the property of the city of South Fulton. And I can assure you that so long as I sit in that seat, that park in this seat, that park will remain the property of the city of South Fulton.
Okay, now I remember being in a meeting that if nothing was constructed on the property for a number of years, then it goes back to the city. So how many years has BBI owned that property? Has it exceeded the time that those number of years that it would revert back to the city?
So I would need to pull the paperwork so that I can get the exact date. But from the time that BBI Development purchased the property to now, it has not exceeded the time limit for construction. They are still within the time frame that they have to do the project.
Okay. And is it funded 100% by the company, or will any taxpayer funds be used to for the building?
We don't know that. We won't know that until they submit the paperwork and they submit the plan. So we don't know anything about how they are financing the project.
Okay.
We have asked for that. Now, what I will tell you is that we have asked for that information. We have been unable to obtain it. And in fact, in one meeting where we specifically asked the chairman of the South Fulton Development Authority for documents related to this project, we were told that if we wanted to know what was happening, we could watch the meetings on YouTube.
Well, I really think that's a terrible answer, and that is a terrible way to operate a business within the city of South Fulton or any city. The cooperation between everyone is needed, and the paperwork, you cannot move forward without any paperwork with any operating anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Collins. Ms.
You're
McKee,
welcome.
Ms. McKee, do you have a question? Ms. McKee, you on mute.
Oh, I was thinking Councilwoman Williams.
No.
Well, for it's me, myself, number one, I have a degree in economic development. I know exactly what should be done when you go in to revamp a community. But I'm not even there to them buying the land yet. My first question is, well, in comment, first question, did the Community Development Authority announce that this land was for sale?
No.
Because my family has been trying to purchase land on Old National for a couple of years now. And Councilmember Reeves know it. So I need to know, was this announced? The question, was this land announced for sale?
Well, Madam McKee, that preceded both of us. And so this process was actually started back in 2018, 2019. So we'll have to go back into the archives I would have to go back into the archives at least and to get that factual information to what the question you're asking. If that was done.
Okay, well, that's
either one of us.
That's relevant to me. And number two, apparently this land, they have paid our city for this land. Is that correct?
They paid the city. Go ahead, Tasha.
The Community Development Authority that has been paid for this land. The land has been sold and it's gone. Is that correct?
Councilwoman Williams there? Looks like Councilwoman Williams.
Right. Y'all know I believe in one source of information out there, and so let's wait till she get back on. If she doesn't, then I can answer it.
I understand. I just want to know.
But I will appreciate this by saying this. I will give you the answer over there, but please shoot that message in the chat so you can receive the authoritative response out there as well. So you know what I mean. And so I would take it off, but so that we have the accurate timeline. Repeat your question.
Yeah, because I didn't even know this land was for sale, and I really want to know how they announced this land was for sale.
Right. Well, repeat the question prior to that.
Was the land?
Go ahead, Jean.
She wants to know, was the land announced for sale? That was the first question. And if it was, then how was it announced? Because her family has been interested in purchasing land on Old National for a while. So,
and I didn't see it announced any place.
And
all right, now, you said did they pay the city? Did they pay the city for the land?
No, did they pay the authority for the land?
Right. Councilmember Williams, you back?
I'm back.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So, but I cut out just when you were asking a.
Yes, ma'am. About when it was announced that this land was for sale, because I didn't see it any place.
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, she might be frozen.
Yeah, Councilwoman Wood frozen.
That's my number one.
They paid the South Fulton Development Authority, in which a percentage of that did come back to the city.
Okay. So, but the land is gone, totally gone from the city now and the authority. It's sold to Mr. Butler's company.
And how much was it sold for?
Mr. Butler had a groundbreaking on his property. And so, and let's just say this, I mean, he can still build if he wants to, right? And I hope that he continue on to build. I mean, I don't.
Well, yeah, but I'm not even there yet. I'm still at, how do you sell this land and the citizens don't even know that you're selling it? You're selling the land. It was deeded over to you from the city.
It was deeded over to the South Fulton Development Authority
Right.
so
And
that
in
they
turn,
can develop the property out there, so it would be something that will be beneficial to the constituency of the city of South Fulton.
but instead they sold it to a company or someone. So what are the rules in announcing that it's for sale? Surely
you
this
talking about, that
man
would be
had
a
to find
question
out.
for the South Fulton Development Authority.
I'm sorry?
That would be a question for the South Fulton Development Authority.
Are they gonna be at the meeting on the 8th?
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sure
uh,
that they will, Barbara.
Okay.
I'm sure that they will be at the meeting on the 8th.
Well, that's my question, because that's not fair to the other citizens. We might have wanted to buy it instead of from someone from California.
You know,
I know.
once, see, and this is the way, as you well know, the way a development authority works, or the way a development authority should work. How the land got sold to BBI Development is something else we don't know, because the development authority has refused to give us any documents related to this deal. Or no, that's not true. They have been very stiff in giving us pieces and parts of documentation.
Okay,
And
so
what they've given
No,
us does
that
not,
should be public record.
and what they have given us, and that one of the things that we have done as a council was we've put in an open records request to the development authority to get the documents, and to date they have not turned over documents in full.
okay, my last comment and question. How is this development authority individuals picked? Who picks them? And how are they
So
appointed?
each one of us, mayor and council, has an appointment to the development authority. And so my appointee to the development authority was Quinn Bartlett, the owner of Blue Marlin Bistro.
Right.
But each one of us has a appointment that we can make. One of the things that we heard from appointees, and part of why there had been so much turnover on the development authority, is that the chairman of the development authority and the development authority attorney were operating in secret and not telling the other appointees what they were doing and what was going on. So that is why you saw so many people, so much turnover on the development authority over the years. Because keep in mind, our appointees are all businessmen and businesswomen themselves. And so rather than, jeopardize their own businesses and careers, they would just simply get off the development authority, which is why we had to keep appointing people to the development authority over and over. And that was one thing, that Quinn told me from, just kind of the very beginning, is that information was not being shared. And it seemed in her estimation, and other appointees shared this with council as well, that the chairman and the attorney were doing everything themselves and then coming to the development authority and seemed to want them to be a rubber stamp on decisions that they had already made without giving them any information about what was going on.
Thank you.
And I want to chime in and say too that my person appointee to the Development Authority, Alicia M. Ivy, resigned months prior to all this happening. And so the person who, I never did get a replacement because I gave up that pick so Mayor Khalid could have his pick on the development authority. So I'm not even sure if that person is still on or not, but in that sequence, that's how it went. And Ms. Collins, the former council person for District 7 was the chairman of the development authority.
Yeah, he will be the chairman of the development authority through April of 2023. And so the three remaining development authority members are the chairman, who the former council person for District 7 is the chairman, the secretary, Andrew Jiggets, I think I'm saying that right, and then the person in position number 9, I believe, and I think their last name is Lewis, but don't hold me to that because I don't have it right in front of me. But those are the 3 remaining members of the development authority. And then the development authority attorney is Amelia Walker, who was previously the city attorney.
Correct.
Councilman, that's all the hands I see raised.
Well, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:41, and Dr. Natasha Williams, I thank you so much for being my esteemed colleague and for being a great representation of your area that you cover. And so thank you for coming on. And again, Mr. Burkett. And Madam McKee, because as a chaplain of our city, because I want to let people know we still have a chaplaincy now. And so
Yes,
one of the type program. And so would you go ahead and just take us out in prayer and get that? So I want to tell everybody that thank y'all all for coming on. I love you. You can't do nothing about it. But when Sister McKee ends a prayer, we just go in the call, okay? Go ahead, Dr. McKee.
thank you so much, Lord, for this tonight. Thank you for giving us understanding of the questions we have. Lord, continue to bless our city, Lord. Continue to bless our council, God. Continue to give them the strength to do what they need to do. And Lord, we thank you for the whole city, to God. Look over our fire department, our police department, our citizens of this great city. And Lord, we thank you for making it one of the greatest cities in Georgia. And Lord, as this is what we pray each and every day. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Before you
Amen.
disconnect, if anybody would like a copy of the papers I referenced earlier, if you will please email me, and I will be happy to email you a copy.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Well, I'll
Thank
tell you
you.
what, Dr. Williams, just go ahead and put it in the chat. And so,
Yeah. Councilman,
wait.
one other question as well.
Y'all kill me with this one other question out there. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Dan. I love you. I love you, sister. I appreciate it.
Councilman, it's a statement. It's a statement. Okay.
You got the floor. You got the mic.
If everybody saw this on the news today, but we're gonna have some misplaced people in the community from Biscayne apartment complex. I think Mayor was over there today. There was a news conference. So I just want y'all to know that if anyone know of any housing situation, Section 8 or whatever, to pass that information on. Okay, just want you to know. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since you want to pass that information on, anybody out there can help, because one of the things is it is getting cold out there, and being my colleague Sister Natasha Williams talked about this, is we want our gyms to be warming centers. And so because when it gets extreme cold out there, that's our duty. If they don't come, but at least we have they have a pathway, they have an opportunity to come. So if anybody can help with that dynamic as far as volunteering, as far as anything that can offer the services, please let us know so we can put in touch with you, with our city staff most appropriately, so that can manifest. And so I think that, and just count your blessings, because after all, we are blessed. And so, and be a blessing. Amen. All right, well, look here. Y'all have a good evening. Yes.
All right. God bless you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Yes, did you get my text?
Yeah, I'm about to call you.
Oh, okay. I was just following up with you. You can check with me later on in the week when you got a minute. I was just checking with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for
Good night,
everything.
y'all.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.